In this video we're going to be taking a look at 3 of my favourite characters from Game of Thrones, and we're going to be seeing exactly how they play to their strengths as introverts in order to kick ass. We'll review some awesome clips from seasons 1 to 6, and we'll think about how their characters might play out in season 7. You can expect to see some of the more gruesome scenes from Game of Thrones, but also I'm going to be giving you some psychological insight and some ideas into why it's the quiet ones that you want to watch out for. So let's begin our journey into discovering the power of introverts with little Arya Stark. She's frequently underestimated by the people around her, and we only really ever see her hanging around with 1 or 2 people at a time. The fact that she seems very comfortable moving around under the radar and not really drawing attention to herself is definitely one of the reasons why she's survived for so long. And then when she does need to take action, she is decisive and efficient, not wasting any words or being flamboyant with her actions. And her ability to remain anonymous becomes pretty clear when the soldier in this scene, who had met her earlier, only realises who she is when she chooses to reveal herself.
Fine little blade. Maybe I'll pick my teeth with it.
Another preference that introverts often have is that they're willing to pursue a small number of interests to a great depth.
Now you will try to strike me.
And when you think about everything that we've seen of Arya from seasons 1 to 6, we only really ever see her learning to kill people.
The hell you doing?
Practicing.
And so by the time season 6 comes around, with her dedicated focus and practice on the art of killing, and with a little help from Jack and Hagar,
a man is not Jack and Hagar.
She is then able to reach this level of mastery, which we will see in action in this last clip for Arya.
The last thing you're ever going to see is a Stark smiling down at you as you die.
And that's Arya Stark, the silent assassin, and I fully expect to see her cruising around in season 7 and killing a whole bunch of people that look very surprised to see her. Okay, so moving away from the dark side of things, we've got Sam Tarly. He's got 1 mate, he's got 1 wife, and he's happiest when he's on his own reading a book. But before we talk about his love of reading, let's just check out how comfortable Sam is around new people.
What in 7 hells is that?
They'll need an 8th hole to fit him in.
Tell them your name.
Samuel Tarley of Hornhill. I mean, I was of Hornhill. I've come to take the black.
Come to take the black pudding? Well, you couldn't be any worse.
Now I'm sure that a lot of Sam's awkwardness here is because he's nervous about the sword fighting, but I think we can all agree that Sam is pretty awkward around most people. But like a lot of introverts, Sam has a preference for having a small number of very strong relationships, just like the one he has with Jon Snow.
Send me, Gilly and the baby to Old Town so I can become a maester. That's what I'm meant to be, not this.
I need you here, Sam. If you leave, who's left to give me advice I trust?
Well, his head.
So while Sam isn't necessarily front and centre, his strong relationship that he's managed to build with Jon Snow has certainly helped him to survive, and has helped Jon Snow as well to realise his potential. As we mentioned a moment ago, Sam's key area of interest is reading books.
How do you know all that?
I read about it in a very old book.
Solitary activities like reading are often taken up by introverts because that's one of the ways that they can recharge their batteries after a long day or a day of interacting with lots of people, which is something that many extroverts find it quite difficult to understand.
You're like a wizard.
Just to be clear, I'm not saying that extroverts don't enjoy reading or learning, but they do tend to go about it in a slightly different way. A great example of this is Tyrion Lannister, who's a classic extrovert and gets his energy from bouncing ideas off people around him.
Why am I here?
To help me plan the defense of King's Landing.
In contrast, Sam is going to absolutely relish the opportunity to be in the Great Library on his own and have some space to focus on his strength of reading. If this opportunity was presented to an extrovert like Tyrion Lannister, perhaps he wouldn't get quite as much from it as I imagine Sam will. And this is really nicely set up for Season 7 with the White Walkers and dragons on their way around, and you've got to imagine that this introvert Sam Tarly is going to have a pivotal role to play. And last but not least, it's Daenerys, mother of introverts. Now she is in a very different position to the other two introverts that we've looked at because she is in a position of power and people look to her for guidance and leadership. We've seen her grow over the seasons, going from a timid young lady into a powerful leader and a freer of slaves. And as she continues to develop her leadership style, some of those introvert preferences really come through and have some amazing impact for her. The first of which is this tendency to listen and think first and then speak and act second. And you can really see that in this next clip where we have Tyrion Lannister, the extrovert, really thinking while he's talking until something useful comes out, and Daenerys just listening and taking her time.
Despite appearances, I think you'll find the city's on the rise. Perhaps we should take shelter.
The city's on the rise?
Marine is strong. Commerce has returned to the markets. The people are behind you. Well, not all the people, of course. No ruler that ever lived had the support of all the people. But the rebirth of Marine is the cause of this violence. The Masters cannot let Marine succeed. Because if Marine succeeds, a city without slavery, a city without masters, it proves that no one needs a master.
Good. Shall we begin?
Do we have a plan?
I will crucify the masters. I will set their fleets afire, kill every last one of their soldiers, and return their cities to the dirt. That is my plan.
The second really powerful introvert quality that Khaleesi has is that she keeps her strongest cards closest to her chest. This can be quite tricky for some of her loyal followers who mistake her quietness for not having a plan.
I have dragons. I'll give you one.
I vetrasko te pozliwas me zodrize.
You will win the throne with dragons, not slaves, Your Grace. Khaleesi, please.
And then, just as we saw with Arya Stark, when the moment is right, Daenerys chooses to reveal her strongest cards and gives us probably the best demonstration of introverts kicking ass in the Game of Thrones.
Zaldrizes buzdaris kos daor. Nige Daenerys gel masmo en Targaryen lentrot. En Valeria wepoanagarixan. Valeria munioengos nuhis isa. Dove gedis? Axiosentas, mentiosentas. Kiloni pilos luevale tolviosenetas. Inini odrigatas. Urnei lue dolhe brijatas. Dracarys.
And so in summary, introverts are likely to operate well under the radar, to be efficient with their words, to have a small number of deep interests, a small number of close friends, to recharge with time spent alone, do more listening than speaking, and to keep their strongest cards hidden. Introvert or otherwise, I hope that this video will help you to play to your strengths, as well as to appreciate the different ways that extroverts and introverts get stuff done. And that's all for now, so if you've enjoyed it, please hit the like button, and if you want to see more of these psychological insight breakdown videos, then subscribe, because I'll be putting up more of these in the weeks and months to come. And if you have any questions or any thoughts on this or any suggestions for future videos, then please hit me up in the comments section below. In any case, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon.